Welcome to the Advancing Excellence podcast. Today we explore the pitfalls of prioritizing tactics before strategy, and more importantly, how to avoid those pitfalls. Let's begin the podcast.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to AOE's podcast, Advancing Excellence. I'm Drew Burns, Director of Client Strategy for AOE. I'm thrilled to have you here today as we tackle some of the most common and avoidable mistakes organizations make during the strategic planning process. So to start off, here's a question for you to think about. Have you ever seen a team rush into building a fancy new website or launching a big social media campaign only to realize later they had no clear reason for doing it and no way to measure its success? If so, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to explore the pitfalls of prioritizing tactics before strategy, and more importantly, how you can avoid those pitfalls. We'll talk through the most common missteps, provide actionable solutions, and share best practices to help your organization build a strategic foundation that drives meaningful results. Remember, in the world of strategic planning, tactics are great, but without the why, they'll take you nowhere fast. So first up, one of the most frequent mistakes we see in strategic planning is going tactical way too soon. Trust me, the temptation is real. Teams want to see results, they want movement and quick. And believe me, I get it. It's something we see often. A bold new campaign or project sounds exciting and can make your organization look busy and innovative. But here's the problem. Without a strategic framework, those efforts can quickly lead to disorganization and lackluster results. Think of it like setting off on a road trip without first deciding where you're going or mapping out your route. So the solution, instead of rushing into action, maybe take a step back and take time to ask, what is the big picture here? What are we ultimately trying to achieve? Strategy is the why behind your actions. So once you've outlined your high-level approach, the tactics will follow naturally. And they'll be much more effective tactics too. Trust me, starting with the big picture helps you stay right on course. Our next mistake is a pretty big one, and that's confusing tactics with goals. It's a classic misunderstanding. Teams will say, we need a new website or we need to ramp up our social media. These are tactics, not your goals. Your goals are larger aspirations, your broader outcomes that connect directly with your organizational mission. The solution that we like to use is always define your goals before determining those tactics. So start by asking, what do we want to achieve? Why is it important? And then once you've clarified that goal, map the tactics to support it. For example, if your goal is to increase customer engagement, then yes, maybe a social media is a tactic that aligns perfectly. But the difference is how your tactic serves the purpose, not just a random activity. Mistake number three is a step that too many teams tend to skip. It's setting measurable objectives. So if you go back to one of our strategic planning podcasts, we talk about the difference in goals, objectives, and tactics. But making sure that you set measurable objectives is extremely important. These objectives act as the bridge between your high-level goals and your daily tactics. Without them, it's almost impossible to monitor whether your efforts are making a difference and you're gaining traction in your overarching goals. So the solution here is to enter SMART objectives. If you don't know what SMART stands for, it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objectives. That'll help you create measurable results. Suppose your goal is to improve customer engagement. A healthy SMART objective could be to increase social media interactions by 20% within 6 months. You see how we've created something clear and actionable and trackable that helps provide our client success and helps them understand where we're headed. Your objectives keep your team focused and make success measurable. Okay, so now you've got your tactics in motion, but how do you know they're working? really diving into the measurement and evaluation side of things. Many organizations will fall into the trap of going full speed ahead without defining how they'll measure success. And trust me, this is where you can waste a ton of time and resources. So before launching on a single project, identify those KPIs with your leadership. What are those key performance indicators that they're looking to make movement on? These will act as your benchmarks and help you set up those measurable objectives for you. Build regular evaluation checkpoints into your workflow and to ensure your efforts are driving results. This could be monthly check-ins, quarterly reviews, whatever fits into your organization's rhythm. Tweak and refine based on these findings, because agility in this process is definitely key. So now that we've unpacked some of the more common mistakes, how do we stay strategic in our planning efforts? Here are some best practices that we've found to keep your strategy strong and your tactics relevant. As we mentioned before, always start with the why. Always ask why a goal or a tactic is essential and how it ties back to your mission. Map out your goals to your tactics. Clearly link each tactic to a supporting goal to avoid tactical overload. The last thing you want to do is just end up with a list of tactics, not understanding how they fit into the larger picture. Another great strategy is to cultivate a strategy-first culture. So reinforce the importance of strategy in team meetings so that everybody understands what's going on. Reiterate the strategy in training sessions and within everyday conversations. Another strategy here is to revisit and revise. These strategies are not static. This is not just a document or a process that's going to sit on a shelf. You want to look at these things often with your team and with your board of directors if you're working with a board. And this often provides opportunity to review and adjust your plan regularly to ensure that it stays aligned with your mission and your circumstances as they change. And also use a tactical parking lot. A lot of the time when you're doing brainstorming or developing a strategic plan, you'll get ideas thrown out there from everybody, and you don't want to stop that momentum. But it's hard to initially understand how those ideas or those tactics will fit into the larger plan. So keeping a running list of ideas that come up during your strategy sessions is a great way to make sure nothing gets left out. You can revise this list later when it's time to actually assign the tactics to the goals or objectives that you've outlined. So remember, don't try to satisfy before you identify. By prioritizing strategy over tactics, you're equipping your organization for meaningful and sustainable success. If you'd like personalized help with your strategic planning process, our team of experts is here for you. Visit us at www.aoeteam.com to set up a meeting. Thanks for tuning in today. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with your team or your network. And until next time, I'm Drew Burns with AOE, reminding you to stay strategic and move forward with purpose.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope this session provides value, and we hope you will join us for our next podcast.